Everyone. I'm your host, Noel Clubb, here on Club Tracks, and welcome to Spangler Sports World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app from respective iOS and Android app stores, as the app is absolutely free. And while you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment because we want to hear from you people, especially you, we sure do. And of course, Zingo TV is also available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV sticks. Roku and Roku sticks are also available on all smart TVs from 2016 forward. So welcome to the show, folks. I'm your host, Noel Clubb, here on Club Tracks. And let's introduce, of course, our very cool co-host of the show. And he is, of course, lead singer and guitarist of New York City's classic rock band, The Handful. Please welcome Mr. Mark, Cool Dude. Duda, welcome, sir.
Right on. My pleasure as always.
Not worthy.
How are you, brother?
Good, man. And happy Easter, by the way.
Thank you. And likewise. So it was a festive day today all around.
Exactly. So was Easter Bunny good to you or what?
Easter Bunny's always good to me. He's better to my kids, but I get a cut, I get my little
like
dig
2%,
off the top.
4%, 5%.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's always a small percentage when you're parents.
I really don't need the calories, to be honest.
But it's all good for the long weekend, Easter weekend. It's always
that's
always
it. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's introduce our special guest here on the show this evening. And of course, she's originally from Brazil, based out of beautiful Montreal, Quebec. She's just also recently released her sophomore album, which is called Epic Penguin Sharks. Let's introduce the one and the only Tricia Fitz to the show. Welcome. Right. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. And what's this cut from Easter that we say we get? I didn't get that cut.
Yeah, me. You know what?
Uh-oh.
I think of it too. I helped raise a couple girls for many years, and I never got nothing on those Easters. I don't know.
I'm gonna note that down.
Especially being a new parent coming up, you want to make sure you get those key notes.
I'm gonna make sure they're charged for that.
Negotiate it all now.
Or charge back later on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Big expense later on. So you're from Brazil originally, and so what age did you move to Montreal from Brazil?
So I've actually been around quite a lot. So I was born in Brazil. When I was 4 years old, I moved to the States. So I have no accent. I get asked that a lot, like, why don't you have an accent? I'm like, I grew up in the States. And then I moved back to Brazil. And then at the age of 18, I moved to Montreal. So and then I've been here ever since. So.
Interesting. So whereabouts in the U.S. were you when you were there?
In Utah. Super random. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, like Western state there. So
yeah.
It was fun.
So Brazil, Utah, then Montreal.
Brazil, Utah, back to Brazil, and then Montreal.
Then Montreal. Gotcha. And whereabouts in Montreal were you, or kind of somewhat?
In the West Island. So it's like kind of like west from Montreal.
So West Montreal. That's cool. That works.
Yeah, so it was about maybe like a 20-minute drive from the city. So I was in the city of Dorval, and that's kind of where the band is. That's where
right.
is. That's where everything is. So Montreal's my hometown.
The base. Yeah. Well, it's a cool city to be in. I always one of my favorite cities of Canada is Montreal. Yeah, I love it. Especially old Montreal. This gorgeous place.
Like the cobblestone roads.
Yeah, love the cobblestone roads. I mean, you walk down there, it's like you're walking back in the 1700s easily. The feel, the vibe, the limestone storefronts, and the cobblestone streets, and the old lampposts. Those missions, like I say, the horse and buggy, and it'd be, oh my God, I'm transported in time. Here I am.
For sure. No, Montreal has something for everyone. That's for sure.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. Fantastic city. Let's go back to like when you were growing up. Who were your earliest musical influences for you growing up?
Ooh, okay. Like I grew up very pop oriented, so I always listened to a lot of pop. So Swedish pop was kind of like my vibe, like ABBA.
Oh, ABBA, yeah.
Like, huge ABBA fan.
All right.
And then Avril Lavigne when I was a bit more of a teenager, so kind of like that punk rock because she was like pretty groundbreaking. So I was like, whoa, I want to be like her. And then classical music because my dad is a pianist. So,
really?
Yeah, so it was like kind of a mix of like Swedish pop rock, and classical.
That's cool. That's cool.
So, growing up, that's what it was, and to this day, I'm like, yeah, I still dig it. So it's
yeah, no, it helps inspire your music more too, right? Because you have more influences and Yeah,
like,
no, great.
later on, I turned a bit more to the metal scene, like the more.
Yeah. Especially in your songs, got some good little guitar riffs going on in some of your songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been all over the place my whole life, but growing up, it was more in that area. So.
Gotcha. And what age did you discover you want to pursue singing? Because you have a pretty cool voice there.
Oh,
What
thank
age did you start?
I mean, I started lessons when I was like 15-ish or so. So it's been, I mean, if you do the math, it's been 16 years. But that's kind of when I started taking it seriously, because I really started singing when I was a kid. Like, you watch my home videos and it's just like nonstop singing. Like, bless my parents. They were so patient. But so a lot of performing, a lot of singing as a kid. But then when I was 15, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. Maybe this could become a thing.
Maybe something more at here.
Maybe there's something there. And so, so then I took a gap year after high school and just kind of pursued singing, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And then ever since then, it's like, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. So yeah.
Oh, cool. So how old were you when you actually wrote your first song? How old were you then?
Oh, I was like 6 years old. It was
that's so young.
Very, very young, just writing for my Barbies. My Barbies needed something to sing.
So they're your audience pretty much, eh?
Top audience.
Well, the audience and the Barbies, like, you'd pose them and you're like, yeah, they need a song to sing. So I'd write the song. And then my first song ever was the masterpiece called Little Flower in the Sky. It's like a 10-second song with like 2 notes in it. And it's just me like, about flowers flying in the sky.
That's when it all began. It all started right there in that moment.
It all was about the flower. Yeah, so fairly young, was very musical, and then my parents like really kind of saw that, like, okay, this one's gonna give us trouble, and I kind of did, but it's okay. They still love me.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's still all good. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's ask you too. Before we move over to Mark, is one more question here. So, what was the inspiration behind the name of the record, Epic Penguin Sharks? What's the inspiration behind that?
So I get asked that question all the time because it's a weird name.
You're unique.
I reckon people like epic what now? Epic what? It's okay, I'll explain. So the whole idea behind Epic Penguin Sharks was just doing something fun for myself. I was kind of struggling before, didn't quite know where to go as an artist. I was like, there was that identity struggle, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do something completely absurd, completely out of the ordinary. Just forget all the rules, forget the comfort zone. Let's just do something crazy. And then as I was writing the songs, I was like, okay, we need a title. I'm like, what are my favorite animals? I like penguins and I like sharks. Epic Penguin Sharks. And then Epic just kind of came from that concept of like a story of like an epic. So the album is a concept album. So there is like a beginning and an end, and it's a story. So the Epic Penguin Sharks is just the epic of a penguin and a shark.
Yeah. When I first seen the title,
that's basically it.
It's like Sharknado 3.
I was thinking, that's what I was thinking too. When I first seen it, it's actually scarier than Sharknado, man.
Look at the album cover. It
Great
is
minds.
Exactly.
See, yeah, and it's funny you say that, because along the way, people just gave it like interpretations, and I'm like, go on, yes, this is great. I'm like, sure, that's what it means. So everyone kind of has their own interpretation of it, which I personally love. But when it really comes down to it, it's literally my 2 favorite animals.
Yeah, cool. That's cool to know that.
It's good a reason as any, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, over to Mark.
It's interesting kind of how you almost gave yourself a little bit of an introduction there when you said, you had been kind of finding yourself musically recently. And it's interesting to me because I could tell when we were prepping from the show that, we're going to focus on this new record, but it didn't keep me from listening to the old stuff. I'm like that. I always like to get the background. I know Noel does the same thing. So a lot's happened. I mean, that album, I think, is from 2016. Is that right? It's about 4 years before. A lot happened in that 4 years. I like both records. I really do like your new record, and I like some of the heavier, more guitar-oriented stuff, but that's who I am, But what happened in between then and now for you to make that much of a leap? And you didn't put out anything in between. So what happened musically, or if you care to personally, what changed for you that the music is as different as it is?
That's an excellent question. So yeah, there was a huge gap for sure. That 4 years there. So like the storm was kind of something that I did a lot by myself. So in the past, I was very solo. Like I was very doing much things on my own, and there's like a little bit of pride in there too. So when you listen to the storm, it's all me. I did the drums, I did the guitar,
Oh, really?
everything. Yeah. So I literally walked
Okay.
into the studio and I was like, everything is done. It's all arranged. I just like chose the sounds because some of the sounds are the synthesizers, and then recorded and boom, and that was it. So it's basically all me, the first album.
Okay.
And then along the way, I was like, like the first album, there is a sadness to it, right? Because it's everyone goes through hard times. So I was kind of at a very low point back then. And then throughout those 4 years, I started being like, okay, I'm not exactly happy where I am right now in my life. And I needed a huge change, like getting away from like a toxic environment. I needed to find myself again. So I was at a point where I was very, very just lost in general. So we don't have to get into too many details, but
it's all good.
No, that's great stuff. Yeah.
Place to be. But so Epic Penguin Sharks, the idea just came like, I was like, okay, I need something where I need to just feel like myself. I need to know what I am, my identity, like who am I? And so the different genres, everything just kind of happening, different things.
Yeah.
That was basically me just being like, what can I do? Where do I fit? And funny enough, I kind of just like fit everywhere, and everything kind of came together.
Yeah, it all sounds like you. You're right. There are diverse influences there, and so I'm gonna obviously like something like "Welcome to the System." For me, that's gonna grab me a little bit more than Backseat or something. They're both great songs, and I think Noel and I always talk about the best songs are the ones that the listener can kind of see themselves in or hear themselves in. You know what these are about, right? But the idea is for us to be able to kind of hear something in there too. So with a song like "Welcome to the System," so it's the guitars that grabbed me. It's sort of the heavy vibe that pulls me in there. For me, it's like an Evanescence thing, but it depends on who you listen to, right? So where did that song come from? What were your influences musically, lyrically? What is it about? And you start the record off with it. I mean, you have an intro, but so it's also a bold statement there. So tell us a little bit about this song.
Yeah, so I'll actually tell you my interpretation of Welcome to the System, because like I said, everyone kind of interpreted it in their own way, which I love.
Yeah.
So Welcome to the System for me was a kind of a blueprint. It was me kind of saying like, okay, we are in this environment right now. We are in this place. We got to get out. But you couldn't I can't just get out spontaneously. I had to be very meticulous and very careful about how I was going to get out. So Welcome to the System, and it's like you listen to it and it's very like, it sounds very political. It sounds like, oh, it's such a political authoritarian.
Yeah, it has a tone to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was never my intention to begin with. So it's actually just a way of me thinking like, okay, we have to be very careful about we're gonna do things, and just like, but like imagine the light at the end of the tunnel. So, and it's very heavy because it's the anger that I felt at the time. Just like, I gotta get out of here. So Welcome to the System was that kind of that force that drove me. Like, we would go back and listen to it, like, no, we gotta get out of here, and this is how we're gonna do it. But we gotta be careful. So that, like, you hear.
So I mean, we know you're singing it, obviously, but did you give up all the instrumentation for this record, or are you playing on it as well?
I'm playing on it as well. So I'm playing most of like on all the tracks. I'm synth and piano.
Okay.
Then I have the drummer, Matt Nosetz, who we'll talk about him after. He's a crucial part of the album.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did percussion and most of the rhythm guitars, and then then I have the lead guitar players who would come in, but everything else is mostly me. So
well, yeah, I mean, it has a very organic feel to it. I like how you open and close it with a little intro and an outro, because it does give you the idea that there's a concept there. So I get that. I know that we're also fans of progressive music, progressive rock here, Noel and I. So I get where you're going with that, with the concept. I think dipping into different genres is an important part of that also. Is there one approach that comes more naturally to you than the others?
Like
the heavy stuff versus the ballady stuff, or the pop versus the metal. Is it all equal parts, or equal parts?
Yeah, I mean,
But
I would say yes, because when I write, I mostly just go by vibe. I was like, what's the vibe that I want going in?
Okay.
It's not necessarily like the content, right? But like I'm highly influenced by Devin Townsend project. So
Okay.
when you listen, Devin,
Right on.
he kind of does the same thing. He explores a lot of genres, but it's all very well put together.
And he's a total control freak.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like it was very carefully pieced together, which is one of the reasons why it took 4 years, right?
Right on.
Such a huge gap.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, we had to get the energy right, the lyrics right, everything just was like very carefully calculated, and we did not release it until I was like, okay, we're good, satisfied.
Right on. And what's the single off the record?
So the single, the one that I guess is receiving the most love, we could say, is Millennials. So Millennials, it's the anthem of the hopeless generation, as I'm calling it.
My daughter loved it. I've got yeah, absolutely, and she's super cool. So that's but yeah, she was. It's funny, every week when I'm sitting down and I'm listening to these records, my family knows why I'm listening to them. I'm getting ready to speak to the artist, and they'll all chime in. My wife, I like this one. My daughter, I like this one. So she was sort of jumping up and down. So you were, yeah. So that was very cool. And it's a poppy tune. And is that really just coming from you as a millennial? That's a autobiographical type of thing, right?
Yeah. So Millennials actually started out pretty, I gotta say, it started out with a very cynical mindset. I was like, I'm gonna make fun of millennials because we get it in a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? To be people don't tend to like us very much.
Well, it's important to be self-aware. It's important to be self-aware, and you're kind of, I get it,
Yeah. So a lot of the things I say in the song that I reference are actually from people I actually know. Whether they know it's about them, it's okay, they don't have to know. But yeah, so it was from people that I knew in my surroundings. I'm like, oh yeah, we're all in this together. And as I was writing it, I was like, you know what, this is kind of sad. Oh man, we really are we're given a bad hand for being millennials. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's gonna pass. So the whole line, whoop as you please, you know what? Just whoop, just go, just do it. It's okay. We're going through a hard time. So even though it started out kind of cynical, it ended up in a very comforting, it's okay, pat on the head, you'll be fine. So yeah, and people really enjoyed it, and I love it too. So it's
right on. Very cool. I'm going to come at you from left field, but you're not the first artist I've asked this. Talk to us about your ink.
Oh yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So remember how I wrote my song after two things that I just really like?
Yeah.
So this on my arm is a plumb bob from the game The Sims.
Oh, okay.
It's exploding. And I have it because I just really like The Sims.
Very cool. And now I've got Sims people in the house. I was wondering. My wife's telling me, I told you that's what. Okay.
It's from The Sims. So my life goal is actually to have my song featured in The Sims. It's like once I get that, I'm good. I can retire. I'm like, sweet, I'm in The Sims.
Well, it's interesting because you do, as a millennial, you come up in, I go back to the days where I made more money when people would physically buy the record, the CD, whatever else. And I'm trying to adapt in this sort of new world. But you think of The Sims as a way to distribute your music, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And to the point where there are songs I hear on The Sims radio, like in the game, and I look for them in real life because they're sung in Simlish, right? The Sims language.
Yeah.
And I like low key translated some of my songs to Simlish. So
that is so cool. This is going to be my daughter's favorite episode too. I'm telling you right now.
Yay! So yeah, so like I have like some songs like Millennials is ready to go. Whenever they want Millennials in The Sims, I have it translated already. I did the hard work, guys. But yeah, so there are some artists that I heard in the game that I was like, what song is this? So it's actually like a very weird way to promote
your
music. Yeah, it is.
Well, it's interesting. And I think this whole pandemic thing has caused all of us artists, whether or not we're hosting a show, we're making the record, just figuring out ways to get in front of our audience, right? So it's interesting stuff. Very cool. Noel, back to you, brother.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I was going to touch back on Millennials again because it's a great single.
Thank you.
To me, it's a hot single. I can see it being a really big success. I really can. It has all the ingredients to it. It's modern. You got the pop thing. You got the synths going on there. You got a great little guitar riff going on there. Your comments about your generation to me are just spot on. Like it's a great reflection of what's going on with people today. And even in your video, you have the subtitles in the video. And I'm thinking that is so appropriate too today because a lot of the other people I know that of your age group, they like watching TV or movies. That's what I find with subtitles. I think that's kind of interesting too.
Yeah,
and also in music, it's keeping my ear or not, I don't know, but I do hear about that ragtime kind of vibe to a song, which again is appropriate to today. What's going on with the economy, and of course on that level. So you have like the social part, right? You got the more of the personality part, and you also got what's going on here economically. So without even touching on it, just this little kind of suggestions there musically or in your words. And I thought it was very smart, very, very slick. And I was very, very impressed with all that.
Thank you.
So Billy, my question was like, when you wrote that song, did you really foresee it, being kind of captured by the audience so quickly? Because I think it's a hot number.
Thank you. Yeah, to be completely honest, like when I thought like, okay, I need a single. And then as Millennials was coming along, I was like, okay, like this is we got something here. We got something.
Yeah.
So it was intentionally meant to be, very poppy, very catchy, like the earworm that's stuck in your head for years to come. But yeah, like I did do a lot of research on it. So I'm really happy that that's being translated because
no, you did a fantastic job with it. It's very, very well done.
Thank you.
Is this all you? This is the song? Was this all you, or you had like other inspiration, people behind you helping with the song? Because to me, like it's very, very sharp.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So lyrics wise, it is all me. I did the progression. I did kind of like the skeleton of the song, and then I worked with a producer named Matt Nosetz. So he has his studio in Montreal at Avebury Studios.
Gotcha.
And, and it's basically me and him for the most part. So it's like kind of a two-person project, and we spend hours upon hours in the studio just doing our thing, getting ideas going. And then we brought in a guitar player for the riff. So Gustavo Pedro, he's the guitarist of the band. So when we play live, Gus is there, and he did the guitars. So, but everything else is just Matt and I. So we make a pretty powerful duo when it comes to that. But lyrics wise and concept wise, I take full credit.
Oh, very good, very good. No, because I was very, very impressed with what you got there. Very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Well, send it back to Mark. Send it back to Mark here.
So that's interesting. The first album you talked about, sort of having all the arrangements in your head before you even went in. And this album, when you talk about it, you're talking about it in a more collaborative sense, right? You know, you're still driving the bus. We get that. But so when you went into the studio, how was your process different this time? Did you not have all the arrangements worked out? Were the songs completely written? Were they not written? How far along were those arrangements and everything else?
Yeah, so for the most part, the songs were already completely ready, and I knew in my head, I knew what I wanted. But most of the songs, I just had the skeleton, I had the chords, I had the lyrics, and then we did like the demo track, and then built upon there. But there are some songs that I wrote in studio with Matt.
Okay.
We did like the epic, the very last song, that was all written afterwards. So that was written with Matt. I did one song was co-written with another artist named Laura Ryan, and so Nostalgic was written with her, and then Corrupt, I had just like a very basic idea for it, and we built Corrupt in studio, the whole sound. But everything else was just, I had it already. We just needed to translate whatever was in my head into the song. So I had reference songs, and we worked off there. And but I had like my criteria. I was like, it has to sound like musical theater. It's got to have a Devin Townsend vibe, and it's got to have a punk pop vibe. And then I was like, if we have that somewhere in there, just so we have a bit more cohesiveness, then we're good to go. And we did it. it turned out okay. not
Yeah. So I mean, the musical theater reference kind of hits me. That makes perfect sense. Having said that, do you have more in mind in terms of, expanding on that, like you've done with some of your videos? Do you have more video ideas in mind? Do you have visuals that you plan to use live? Let us in on some of that stuff.
Oh, okay. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
We're ready. We're always ready. Exactly.
When Tricia's mind goes into daydream land, it's like, why are we doing this? Yeah, so I'm very musical theater oriented, if that wasn't obvious. So I did have the whole album in mind of like, okay, when I perform this live, it's gonna be a one-woman show. It's gonna be like costume changes, and so what I'm thinking for the live show, fingers crossed, if I could get like an inflatable penguin and shark, like just on both sides, and they're just like there, like those like floating.
Yeah, that's be natural. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a penguin and a shark. So that's my idea for the live show. It's what I got so far. No, I'm just kidding. I have way more than that. But like, I want it to be very visual because I'm a very visual person. So it makes sense for something like that to also be very visual. So I want the lights, but at the same time, I'm also a very simple person. So it doesn't have to be like a huge production, but the visuals will be there as well, if that makes any sense.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I imagine, none of us have been able to do much in terms of performance. Do you are you kind of going to wait until things open up a little bit more, or do you plan to perform live, remotely at all? Anything like that going on?
Yeah, I mean, I did have plans for an album launch, but that kind of went down the drain. I think to get like the full experience of what I want to translate, I would have to have an audience of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I do see people who have done live streams, and their live streams are like awesome, and I've seen them, and they got different camera angles and the pyrotechnics and everything, and it's like, it's been very, very cool. But being an independent artist, there's only so much you can do, and there's only so much of a budget that you have.
Yeah.
So I think for me personally, I would rather have that connection live. So it might be something that we'll have to wait until next year only.
Okay.
Yeah, but you never know. You don't know what's gonna happen. So, and especially with this pandemic, things are changing very rapidly. So,
and how has the pandemic been for you? Like, I'm finding from my perspective, I wrote a lot because I wasn't performing a lot or whatever else. Did you find ways to, keep the creativity going, express yourself, aside from this record? Because we all know that the record's been done. So how's the pandemic been for you in terms of your creative process?
Honestly, to be completely 100% honest, it didn't change much. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like I still managed to come up with like songs. I'm still writing and I'm still, thinking of what's gonna come in the future. But I did take full advantage of the online aspect of it. So, I took lessons online for different instruments. So I
Right
took
on.
like 3 different instruments, and I'm gonna take yodeling classes because next album, like I want to yodel. So it was kind of cool because it gave me a bit more time to explore a little bit even further beyond my comfort zone. So, I thought Epic Penguin Shark was like, okay, I'm gonna really push myself to do stuff. But I'm like, okay, how do we follow this? Okay, let's yodel. So it's like they kind of pushed me to really push myself beyond. And with the online world, it's like, okay, there are no yodeling teachers in Ottawa, but there's a yodeling teacher in New York. So I could connect with them. So it's that's kind of how I benefited from it. But I kept writing, kept going, kept staying creative, and I was like, this pandemic can't stop me.
Very cool.
Good attitude. Good attitude.
Yeah.
Nice. I see you have a couple of guitars hanging behind you. If you could only perform like you in one instrument, what instrument would you pick? Would it be a guitar? Would it be a piano? Which guitar would it be?
My joke answer is the kazoo, but
flexible instrument,
right? But kind of hard to sing at the same time. But my piano is my baby. That's where that's where I write most of the songs. I do have some songs on guitar, but my main instrument would be the piano. So that's
very cool. So you do most of your writing there on piano.
Yeah, it's mostly on piano. So like I have like my tiny keyboard, like my good piano is at my parents' place.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go get it. Yeah. but I do have like a little one here. It's not like a super professional one, but
sure.
So it would definitely be on piano. That's where I thrive.
Very cool. Right on. Back over to you, Noel.
Certainly, yeah. Another track for me that really kind of grabbed me and I've been listening to you for your material is "Not Serious Enough."
Yes.
Great little track there, and I also loved the lyrical content. How you're going on about how the song's about how you won't get signed because you're not serious enough, and I kind of really enjoyed that. So is that really a reflection of you, or is that just more your sense of humor and your personality shining through?
Well, because that's the thing. It's somewhat autobiographical because I have been told that from industry representatives. Like when you see me performing live, it's basically what you're seeing right now. It's
I think so.
Her just kind of rambles on like, oh, she's rambling again. But like, okay, chop, Tricia, move on. But yeah, so I have been told many times it's like, you gotta take yourself more seriously, honey. This is a business. And it's like, okay, yes. Like, oh yeah, you're looking too happy in your pictures. You gotta be more serious. I'm like, okay. But then I physically have a hard time being serious. It's so.
Well, to me, actually, I find it's kind of quite appealing to see your personality like that on the videos. Yeah, actually, to me, actually, that's a plus. It's not a negative whatsoever.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. So, so instead of, for the most part, I was kind of like trying to be like, okay, maybe I should be more serious, But then at the end, I was like, you know what? I'm not a serious person. I like enjoying myself. I wasn't having fun when I was trying to be super serious. So not serious enough was kind of like a little stabby stab at anyone who's ever told me like, you're not gonna make it, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll just write about it, and then you get a song with the hoedowns and talking about skunks in parking lots, and that's where that came from. So yeah, but honestly, that song is probably my favorite song off the album. Just because
it is, eh?
It represents me the most.
Yeah, I think so too. This is get to know you more and more, and then we hear the song. I think that's one of my thought too. There was it's probably more a reflection of who you are, and there it is. You confirmed it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you enjoyed that one because that
one. Oh,
yeah,
definitely does. You have a lot of great songs in there. Definitely a lot of great songs. Another one too that really kind of I was really attracted to was the song "Nonsense."
Oh, okay, yeah.
Again, I enjoyed the words. Talking about walking in a herd feels good. I was very good. Again, very good reflection of today's times. What's going on right now. So I was going to ask you, tell us what inspired you to write that song in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. So basically what the line that you just said, walking in a herd feels good. It was like the entire song, just when I was writing it, I was thinking like, oh, okay, I'm kind of in the same place as everyone else, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like, there's so much going on. Everything's like so much information that's coming to you. You don't know what to believe. Things are coming from left and right. Like, what's going on? So all this nonsense is just that oversaturation of information that's coming at you. But just got to keep going. Like, where else are you gonna go? So walk with the herd, right? And then in the bridge you get, they keep banging on the drums. So that was kind of like the epic penguin sharks speaking to me on the side a little bit.
Yeah.
So, when you find yourself, you're lost walking in that herd, you're just kind of going with the motions, don't really know where to go. There's always going to be that little voice going to tell you like, hey, we're over here. You come back. And then coming back to it, and that's actually when the drums come in, everything comes in. So I'm actually really glad that you brought up that song, because that's probably my second favorite song off the album.
Oh, right on. No, I see. I love your lyrical content. It's just, again, you speak really to the times very, very well, and it's very simplistic, but right to the point.
Yeah.
And somebody say, so many songs I've heard from you last a while. It's very reflective what's going on, generation wise, economy wise, people wise, technologically wise. Great. I really enjoy people actually kind of attack that and actually use that. And definitely, I love it very much. I'm gonna ask you one more question here before I pass on to Mark. I was going over to the song Backseat, which again, I enjoy that track. Very different from the other stuff we've been listening to out of your repertoire. Wait, excuse me 1 second. If you want to take actually your line, you're talking about how you're in the back seat, you want to take control and drive. Again, I just love that message in your lyrical content. Is somebody want more expand on that with the audience here, but as far as taking control from the back seat and taking over on the driving wheel seat?
Yeah. So backseat, when I wrote it, I was like, hey, I need this that's gonna make people cry. So backseat came along. So it's kind of in the middle. It's like smack in the middle of the album, right? So it's that point where you're just like rock bottom, where you're like, okay, I'm trying to claw my way out, trying to get back in control of my life, but you're still worrying for yourself. You're still you can't. You're still in your head, right? So that song for me, it's more of an uplifting song, believe it or not, because it's more of just that.
Actually, it is.
Yeah, it's that reminder, like, look, you went through a hard time, but you just gotta remember, stay in the driver's seat. Don't fall back to old habits. Don't fall back to what anyone else says. Just stay in the driver's seat.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's how I see it too. It's a very actually positive message. Has a very kind of down tone, but what you're saying in the song from really from a perspective of anybody, we've all been through this, of how to stay away from being in the back seat, man. Like take charge, take control, I love it.
On the wheel, yeah, for sure. So it's more of a reminder to myself, and you can even see it's like I'm speaking to myself.
Yeah, that's what I see it too.
So it's like an out of body experience. Like the logical Tricia's over here, and she's like, you gotta get your life together. It's like, okay.
Exactly. It's a constant battle.
Conversation with myself.
It's a constant battle.
It seems really sad, but it's actually a oddly inspiring, uplifting song.
Yeah, it's quite true. That's very true. And being out of Montreal, do you find Montreal is like as a community, a musical community in Montreal, is it very supportive of what you're doing and your talents and your music and your songs?
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of find your crowd. I find that it's like, like there's different artists of all kinds, different genres, so you kind of have to find where you fit in.
Yeah.
For me, I struggled a little bit with that, just because it's like, where do I put myself? Like, who can I like play with here? Because it's such a wide range of genres that I have to kind of like think about like what makes sense,
Yeah, musically speaking, yeah.
So that I kind of struggled with that a little bit in general, just because of the difference in genre. But I found myself really getting along with the musical theater community. So I know a lot of people in musical theater. I did some musical theater. I taught musical theater, and and the musical theater community in Montreal is phenomenal. So everyone's very supportive. They kind of show up to your shows, you show up to their shows, and so it's very, you feel a lot of love with them. So I found my group. I found my group within the musical theater community, because if you think about it, genres do kind of flow.
Yes, they do.
You get a little bit of, like, you can get classical, you can get pop, you can get rock musicals. So I found that I identified a little bit more in that community, and they're fantastic. And so, and I miss them. I miss them a lot. So it's I want to see a show soon. So yeah.
Very good, very good. Back over to Mark.
Yeah, I mean, the lead instrument in your band is your voice. So regardless of what genre, whether or not the guitar is distorted or the piano is a synth tone or piano, I mean, you're the lead instrument in that band. That's a commonality that will, that runs through. And your music sounds like you, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, to defy easy categorization is not necessarily a bad thing, And you talk about wanting to, admiring Devin Townsend. I mean, there you go, right? So, I was wondering, as you were talking about what the meaning of Backseat was, and I thought that was an interesting song too, because it's not about what you think it's going to be about, right? There's a young lady talking about the back seat, like, here we go. But you're not Motley Crue, you're not Poison, you're not talking about let's get, what I mean? It's a different sort of thing entirely. So is that kind of, when you talk about why would you stay young, is that the name of the song? Is that a little rhetorical question you're asking yourself, like that you want to take more control? What's that song about?
Oh, why would you stay young? So why would you stay young is pretty much almost exactly what you said. It's just wanting that wisdom, wanting to know more than just being young and naive. Because I feel like being young and, I want to use the word stupid, so young and stupid, right? That's very valued for some reason in music. You hear it a lot in music, and I'm like, I want a song that kind of says, like, hey, being old is cool too, like, it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
Well, there's probably no bigger change than motherhood or parenthood, right? So
it's like a song that like showed a little bit more love to just growing up, and like there's nothing wrong with it. It's cool to be older, it's cool to be wise, to being in that new phase of life where you know things, you experience things. I didn't hear that enough, and I was like, what?
Well, you don't. You hear all that to be young again type of thing, but you don't hear that. Well, why would you want to stay young? Why wouldn't you want to kind of live in the now? But right, the where you're at in life right now is a wonderful time. So I don't know why you wouldn't embrace that, as perhaps another way of saying that, because it's wonderful. So, and obviously that changes how you go about doing things. And that's something that I'm sure that you'll think of. I traveled around. We were talking about this tonight. It came up with my daughter, but I used to travel around a lot more and do a lot more shows. And I do things differently now because I have children, and they're only going to be young once. So, I think you have a lot of really cool things coming up. So definitely congrats on all of that as well. It's got to be a heady time, you know?
Truly.
Yeah, as much as we experience it as guys, I get that it's a totally different thing, So, but it's great. So you are, not to get too personal, but you're married, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm married, and so we're expecting our first child, and super happy. Like, it's awesome.
Does your husband think you're ever writing songs about him? Does he ever say, like, hey,
like, wait a minute here?
I felt like you just criticized me for 5.5 minutes. Is that a song about me, or is it?
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty straightforward with them. Like, I'd be like,
Okay.
I wrote a song about you. I'm mad at you. You know, so
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And but obviously you have that support there. Is your husband an artist of any type? Is he the straight man in the relationship? How does that work?
he doesn't like to admit it, but he actually has some musicality to him.
Oh, he does it.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
All right.
he does. He won't admit it.
You got to push him then, if he won't admit it. You need somebody to push him.
Yeah. So like I taught him piano and he like picked it up in like 2 seconds. I'm like, hello, musicality, this is it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
it
could be family, it could be the difference in your families too. I mean, you mentioned that, right? You all music was always part of your life. Were your parents musicians, or was it just the how things were in the house?
So my dad was a piano player, well, still is. So he was almost a professional. Like he almost like played like opera houses and stuff.
Okay.
So I grew up a lot surrounding with, by my dad playing classical music. And it's funny because like
awesome.
Yeah, I'll hear a classical song. I'm like, I know this song. It's like the etude number something, but I don't know the name, but I know the song.
It opens up your synapses. It's really like kids' brains that are exposed to that music. It really it does something for you about the way that you learn and the way you perceive the world. So
yeah, true.
Sure. Yeah. So my daughter, she's gonna be musical to some extent. Whether she wants to do it, that's up to her. But
okay, and so it's a daughter. Do we have a name yet? I'm getting way off the beaten path.
Oh, go for it, Mark. Go for it.
What's her blood type? Does she have a shoe size? No, well, her name's Zoe. So
awesome. Love it.
So it's very exciting. So it's like it's kind of cool because it's another thing that I can maybe write about in the future. It's like,
I'm sure you will, and it's any day, right? So.
There. Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Endless song content right there.
The repertoire just grew, guys.
Next concept album for sure.
Exactly, next concept album.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
She's done one song each month and 9 songs. Full album right there.
Right there, no problem. Multiple albums right there, by the way.
Good idea. Okay, I gotta invent a time machine somehow.
You got to record the heartbeat a little bit, and that way Zoe gets on a track, right? Heartbeat by Zoe.
What are you thinking already?
She's like, I'm gonna do it.
I'm taking notes. That again, heartbeat.
Yeah.
By Zoe, and that'll be that could be the tempo.
Exactly. It's a tempo right there. It's a winning tempo because it came from Mark. So.
Well, it's like
there you go.
I want like 141 now. It's a little fast, but we'll manage. We'll work with it. It's okay.
But it's wonderful. So you're going to provide, in a sense, what you had provided for you, which is a creatively fertile type of household, which is awesome.
No kidding, yeah.
I don't know how I got here, but that was interesting stuff. Thanks for indulging.
No problem. I don't mind. Look, so it's okay.
I'll send it back to Noel here for a second. See if he can salvage the rest of the show.
That's our show. You never know where it's going to go. Just go with it. Anyway. Yeah, actually, another track I was going to mention to you was I really enjoyed was Nostalgica. Nostalgic. Great single again. So wonderful record. Very good stuff. Very, very impressive material. So you have plans for the next single to come out?
So I think next single, not so much, because I think I want to just like kind of stay focused on millennials for now. So I don't really have plans for a next single, but the next album is in the works. It's in the.
Can I ask that question? Not surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
Is it close to being finished, or you got a ways to go yet in the next one?
We gotta wait another 4 years.
Got a ways to go, do you?
Yeah. Like maybe not 4 years, but for a while. Yeah,
yeah, maybe not 4 years. Yeah,
a little bit more, and then but the next one, the concept is already present. I won't give it away because knowing myself, I might change it halfway through. But yeah, no, but it's coming, and that's the thing with me too. Is like I just have a million projects going on at the same time, right? So,
yeah.
So it might change. It might, it might come 2 years from now, 4 years from now. I'll try not to have it 4 years from now because I feel like that's a long time. But but I'm staying creative. So there's more coming for sure. But for now, we're like, let's milk up Big Penguin Sharks a little bit more. I think it still needs.
I think it should. Yeah, it's just too soon to move on.
It could be the song of the summer. That's what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah, millennials definitely has that quality to it where it could
Yeah,
definitely
right on.
song for the summer. It really does for a generation, but also for the summer, it really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, great material,
Thank you.
great songs there. And like for you, like is in bands right now you've been paying attention to these last year or two that's or new records that kind of caught your attention lasted a while. It's like yeah, that's a good one. I recommend for people to listen to.
Yeah, so there's one artist in particular that I've been listening to a lot that I only found out like in the past year, and her name's LP. So she's like she has like this whistle that she does in her songs, and like her songs are a little more folkier, so it's a bit of a
Yep.
different vibe from what I usually do. But she like her voice is insane. It sounds like she smokes like 3 packs of cigarettes a day, but just
A
like
raspy voice, eh?
oh, it's this texture that I'm like, oh, I want that. I'm probably not gonna get it, but I want it. But and her songs like they're very introspective, and I was like, okay, maybe we could try to go over something like that. So LP I've been listening to. There's an artist, she's an LGBTQ friendly artist called Girl in Red who I discovered, and she's got a bit more of that like lo-fi pop vibe to her, and I was like, okay, this is cool. So I'm trying to listen to genres that I wouldn't normally listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Just to go even more beyond the.
No, right on. That's good.
And then obviously local artists. So there are the local artists around that I'm like, oh, you released something pretty cool. I like that. And I'll message them like, this is so good. I really like your stuff.
Yeah, especially Montreal when it's open. When it's open, it was great music scene.
Oh yeah. So it's like I'm listening to locals. I think it's like crucial to support the locals because
Yeah.
you never know who's gonna.
Oh no, so true. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And is there any message you want to pass to anybody who wants to follow your pathway in your career in music, being a strong female writer? You want any advice for anybody out there who wants to pursue your path?
My immediate answer is there can only be one. All jokes aside, I would say just explore, and, if you have like that little gut feeling of something that you want to try and you want to do, it's just like just go for it. You're if you're starting out, you're an independent artist. The creativity is in your hands. You can do whatever you want. So it's like don't stick to just one thing. If you feel like you want to do something else, just do it. You don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's the best advice I could give to anyone is just like just go for it. Like what do you have to lose?
No, right on. That's great advice. Great advice. So explore, folks. Take chances. Don't get comfortable. It's no good for you.
Your comfort is merely a zone. You can step out of it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's so true. You got to step out of your comfort zone. That's part of growth and real development. And I've learned that in music and sports and life. So that's so true, though. Right, Mark? It's the same kind of thing, eh?
No question, man. And the more chances you take, the more you step outside your zone, the more some of those new things will begin to inform what you produce in your life, be it creative or otherwise.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah.
Apply it to real life. Just step out of your comfort zone because you never know what's on the other side.
Correct.
Chocolate.
Exactly. Well, on that note, guys, great note to finish on. We're out of time already. And hey, Tricia, that was fantastic interview with you. You're just awesome. Great interview.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're both impressed with your songs, especially say Millennials. I think it's an absolute standout. Plus many other ones, but Millennials I think is going to be a big standout moving forward. I'd be shocked if it's not. Honestly, I'd be shocked if it's not.
It's okay. It's all right. I think we had.
I'm just saying that's my 2 cents right there.
Ellie, song of the summer.
Song of the summer.
We
right
called it here.
Right on.
I'll take note. Called first on Club Tracks.
That's right. We called it first. Exactly. Well, hey, thanks, Tricia. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. Real pleasure. And where can people look up more on you on social media?
Oh, yes. So I'm mostly active on Facebook. So you can find Tricia Fitz on Facebook, but I also have my Instagram. So / it's Tricia Fitz. And I'm going to be posting a lot more on YouTube. So my
excellent. Well, watch for that, folks.
Right
watch your stuff on YouTube. Tricia Fitz coming out. It's out there right now. More to come. And right on, guys. So thank you, Tricia. Thanks, Mark, as always, man.
You got it, brother. My pleasure.
Thank you. And happy Easter, folks. Happy Easter to you, Tricia and Mark, as always. And Thanks, guys. And of course, please check out Spanish Sports World Network for all the news. Please watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys. See everyone real soon.